DJ accepts no responsibility for the next record.
Say what?
Oh no, he's there.
Where's the money, man? Where's my money?
It's time to man up, America.
Let's do this.
For the next record.
Say what?
Oh no, he's there.
Where's the money, man? Where's my money?
It's time to man up, America.
Let's do this.
All right, you're with the good Dr. J. Adam on Man Up America. It's our first call-in show. We started on Tuesday, Wednesday. Now we're at the call-in show. You can catch us on the radio at Talk 101.3, The Buzz FM, on TV channel 27.1, Charter Channel 5 at WTNB. Let's do this. All right, guys, listen. It is time for our first call-in show with Man Up America. For those of you who are just tuning in, we are actually live today. We're live both on TV and we are live on the radio. So you'll be able to call us today at 423-472-8892. And we've got comments that also came through our email. You can send us one via email, comments, manuptalk@gmail.com. So comments, manuptalk@gmail.com. Or you can hit us on Facebook, facebook.com/manuptalk. So, just to review, Man Up America is a show about life. And the number one feedback I've been getting in the online comments is this a political show? I guess when you use the term America, we think of that as a political term. We think of America as a political term because it is a political institution. But most of us, America is our life. You know, we go about our daily life, but the freedoms that influence how we live, the culture in how we live, even the economy in which we flourish, in which we make money to build or to have sustenance for our families, to feed our kids, all of that is America. So this is really a show about life. Now, if you're tuning in from Singapore, what we talk about may not be applicable to you. Applicable. I need to work on my dictation on the radio, I guess. But it may not apply to you. But if you're here in America, I think what we discuss and the things that we man up on will make you a more informed person. Yes, that's going to bleed over to politics. It's going to. And right now we're in the heart of a political season. So our first week was somewhat political. We talked openly about whether or not Gary Johnson, as an independent candidate in the race or as a libertarian candidate, is affecting the presidential election. We talked about the vice presidential debates, and we talked openly about what's taking place in the sports entertainment industry with Colin Kaepernick, the Black Lives Matters movement, and taking a knee during the national anthem. So what we want to do is we want to actually go to some of the online comments that we had. Once again, you can call us 472-8892. Mr. Producer here's guiding me on making sure that we're set up and rolling for our first call-in show. And, a lot of folks have said, I'm really not comfortable calling in. I prefer to just listen, but I'll send you a message. And so we've got some of those messages that we'll read feedback on what we've discussed thus far on Man Up America. But I want to take an opportunity to thank our sponsors. Yesterday's show, we had some technical difficulties, and so our sponsors didn't get quite the attention that I want to give them. But this show is possible because of those who man up and say we want a talk show, we want a local talk show that kind of faces things for what they are, that talks about the truth. And so special thank you to Bliss Day Spa. So you can get all worked up listening to my commentary on Man Up America and go over to Bliss, and they will calm you down. Gentlemen, if you really want to earn brownie points with the wife, man up, go to Bliss Day Spa, get her a gift certificate. I know it's fall time. The start of the school year was crazy at my house. I have 4 children. The start of the school year was crazy at my house. So I'm sure it's been the same for you, and we all know that Mama does more of the getting ready for school than anyone else. Gentlemen, that's just the case. So reward her this fall. The weather's changing. The beach bod craze is gone past. Now it's time to just relax. And you can do that with Bliss Day Spa. So look them up online or here in Cleveland. And Home Mortgage Solutions. I've said, and I told on our first show, my personal experience with Daryl Whitaker at Home Mortgage Solutions. Daryl Whitaker at Home Mortgage Solutions here in Cleveland can help you with lending on your home, can help you with a refinance. Reward them with your patronage. Go in, man up, talk with Daryl. He's going to lead you right. He's an ethical guy, and he's going to help you through the process, and he answers his phone when you call him. That's the biggest problem we have when we go to do business with somebody is they don't answer their phone. You know, I own a couple of businesses, and I've scolded employees before. Answer the phone. I've had people tell me, you know, I've called you a few times, and I couldn't get anybody. Man, as a business owner, that's huge to me. So I do business with people I can get in touch with and people I trust. Daryl Whitaker at Home Mortgage Solutions is one of those folks. And if you get an opportunity, go the Old Village Theater down at the Village Green in Cleveland. Most of you know Starbucks is down there. Back behind the buildings, there's an old theater. We renovated that place and opened the venue Creekside 3 years ago. If you're looking to host an event, whether it's a wedding reception, a business meeting, a conference, take a look at that facility. 473-9668, thevenuecreekside.com. You can see rates, you can see pictures. Patronize those folks. They're helping make Man Up America possible. So let's not wait. Without any further ado, the biggest feedback that I got on the online comments, and again, you can call into the show today, 472-8892. I know it's a new show. I know you're hesitant. I know you don't want to pick up that phone, and I know you don't want to call in for fear that, you know, whatever may happen. What I'll tell you is this show is always about respect, regardless of opinions. We want people to be informed. If you have something to add to the conversation, man up, call in. We've had some people man up, and they've sent us messages, and the overwhelming message response was related to the Colin Kaepernick debate. For those of you who are just tuning in, who haven't paid attention, Colin Kaepernick is the backup quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. Colin Kaepernick has been openly critical of what's taking place with law enforcement and the African American community. He's taking a stand with Black Lives Matter, and he's doing it by using his platform in the NFL as a very popular individual to take a knee during the national anthem. Most folks agree has every constitutional right to use his free speech to do that. Everybody else has their constitutional right to not like what he's doing. Absolutely. Absolutely. But this is what I've been getting. I've been getting mixed feedback in the comments. One email that I got said that Colin Kaepernick was probably the equivalent of Martin Luther King. Wow, man, what a statement. I wish they would have elaborated any more. So if you're listening to the show, which you've listened to before, if you've sent comments, email us again, comments, manuptalk@gmail.com. Explain that a little bit more. What do you mean by he's the next Martin Luther King? On the other end of the equation, we've got some comments where folks have come in and they've just said that Colin Kaepernick is promoting violence, furthering racism. And I've had more of those comments than anything, so I want to address something on this call-in show. I want to address the idea that what Colin Kaepernick is doing by taking a knee during the national anthem is furthering the racial divide. There are some people who say that the black community self-isolates, that it self-identifies too much, that it creates a racial barrier. I was having this conversation with someone, and we're going to interview someone from the Black Lives Matter movement here in the next few weeks, and we're going to dedicate a whole program to that. We're going to man up on Black Lives Matter. And I've got a question that I'm going to ask him as part of that movement. And the question really is this simple. What do you say to the white people, to the non-blacks, who feel like they aren't racist, who feel like they want to work to tear down the walls of racism in society, but constantly feel like whatever they do is not enough? What do you say to those people? Are you alienating your advocates? And that was kind of what we got in the comments, in the both on the webpage through private message and in the email, was a lot of people feel like we create our own problems in these racial groups. See, now, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I guess I'm supposed to know. This is Man Up America, and I'm supposed to have all the answers, right? I've said from the get-go, I don't have all the answers. We investigate this together. I'm the kind of person that before I come to an opinion or a conclusion, I want as much information as I can possibly get. I want to get as much information in as I can get. And so I'm taking you through my process of learning and my process of growing and coming to conclusions. So when people email me and they say that the black community is responsible for their own isolation and that they feel that they're promoting racism, let's man up on that. Let's talk about that real quick. So we played an interview yesterday with Delegate Bill Carrico, who's a state senator Bill Carrico out of Virginia. So State Senator out of Virginia, Bill Carrico, said that he felt when it came down to, I'm adjusting some levels here so you can hear me good on the radio, that he felt there was not any justification for the belief that blacks were accosted and shot more than whites in underprivileged communities. I asked him point blank, is there any truth to the statement that if you are in a impoverished community, you are more likely to be accosted or shot if you're black? He said he felt like there wasn't any truth to that. And he quoted the statistics that say even though blacks are a smaller percentage of the population, they make up for a larger percentage of the arrest rate and for police shootings. And so for people that look at me and say blacks are responsible for their own racism, my question to you is, how do you respond to that? How do you respond to the proportionate numbers in the black community? What do you say to those folks who feel like just because of the color of their skin they can't walk down the street? But Bill said something else, too, that I think is very, very important and something we often don't address when we talk about professions like law enforcement. He said there are bad apples in any bunch. There are bad politicians, there are bad teachers, there are bad businessmen, and there are bad law enforcement people. And we know that there are people out there who want to do harm to others. Maybe they're trigger happy. They want to do harm to others. We know they're out there. And do a certain percentage of those people find their way into law enforcement because they feel like it gives them an outlet to do wrong to others? I'm sure they're there. Even Bill, Senator Bill Carrico, who was former state police, who's a big proponent of Blue Lives Matters, admits that they find their way into these careers and they can do some damage, just like any other profession, that those people find their way. But he said that he believes they're weeded out pretty quickly. So my question is, do you honestly believe that the administration of law enforcement, that the leadership in law enforcement is so corrupt or so dismissive that they would overlook individuals who are only doing the job to hurt others? I mean, that's a big claim. That's a big claim to say that systematic racial injustice in underprivileged communities, that the leaders of law enforcement are dismissive of racism in their department. Now, we saw that the report that came back in Ferguson, Missouri, for those of you who remember Ferguson, a lot of the Black Lives Matter movement really took off after Ferguson. Even though that was rendered a justifiable shooting, they did discover that there was a lot of racism within the department. But is that nationwide? Is that in this community? I think to the deputies that I know in our area. I think to the police officers that I know. And I have trouble thinking that they approach their day with the intention of hurting someone just because of the color of their skin. But that doesn't give me insight into New Orleans. It doesn't give me insight into Charlotte. So we talked to people at Charlotte. So yesterday, and I didn't get permission to play the phone interview, I called a friend of mine that lives in Charlotte, is a businessman downtown, who has been impacted by the riots in Charlotte, North Carolina. And his feedback was this. He said, I'm a son of immigrants. He's a white male. He said, I'm a son of immigrants. My grandparents immigrated to America from the Ukraine. He goes, I have been raised in the South, and I'm a current businessman. He's running a business that his father once ran. He said, I don't feel responsible for the institution of slavery hundreds of years ago. I don't feel responsible for the racial injustices of the 1960s and the civil rights movement or Jim Crow because my family wasn't here. We were Eastern European, and we were immigrants when we came over here. Yet my business is being impacted by these riots. Then I called a friend of mine who's been very sympathetic on social media to the Black Lives Matter movement, and I asked him, what do you say to that business owner? And his response was this, that violence begets violence. That is it appropriate to respond peacefully to what we're saying is an unpeaceful, violent, and homicidal trend in law enforcement? So you can see the spectrum here of people who feel like I think the common denominator is a lot of people feel like they're being done wrong. They're being done wrong. So when you send comments to me saying, all right, it's this way, I'm asking you to take a moment and think about how other people feel they are done wrong. Now, I don't have an answer to institutional racism, which is why we're going to dedicate a full program. We're going to man up on Black Lives Matter in the coming weeks. I love the interviews we have lined up for that. And we're going to confront this issue. But I do thank you for sending in your comments. There were some sports comments related to the Colin Kaepernick, and it's good to see that at least one person out there was listening when I talked about when does the money catch up to Colin. Ratings are down in the NFL. They're associating that downward trend in ratings and in revenues to the fact that this is taking place not only with Colin Kaepernick but with other NFL players. They're saying that that trend downward is because of people boycotting the NFL. They don't want to watch. They don't want to watch the unpatriotic displays by players. So people have very strong opinions about that. And there's an old saying in business that people vote with their feet. So that means that they walk into your business and they do business with you if they like you. And if they don't like you, they don't walk into your business and do business with you. And that's kind of what's happening in the NFL. So it's good to see that one person, I'll read this comment that we got from them concerning Colin Kaepernick in the NFL. He says, the NFL is a business, a big business, and there are a lot of people who depend on the revenue of the NFL to feed their families, both white and black. Many of these players were formerly from impoverished communities. They now, because of the big business of the NFL, have a means to change the future of their families. Many of them think by doing this that they're helping change the futures of other families from those communities, but in reality, they're just making it harder for the first generation of NFL players to feed theirs. Yesterday, the shrink, Rob Alderman, he said, even though business is down, business is not bad for the NFL. I've got to agree with him there. I've got to agree that the NFL's still making plenty of money. Everybody's paychecks are still being cashed. Jerseys are still selling. Tickets are still selling. People are still subscribing to cable to get those NFL games. It's happening. So I don't know if I quite buy into the logic that this is somehow going to hit the players in their pockets. I think if anything, it hits the owners in their pockets. I mean, they've got a contract, right? Let's man up on this. Colin Kaepernick his boss, the owner of the 49ers, is not going to walk up to Colin Kaepernick and say, we're not paying you your paycheck this week. Very unlikely. He's got a contract that says he's worth so much money. Now, hopefully it's not a lot. I mean, he's a backup quarterback now. He's a backup quarterback. But he still has a contract. So who does this really affect? Really affects the owners. So my insight is this. Even though you feel that way about it impacting the players, I don't think it does. I think what it does do is, if you remember back, let's look at the other side of the equation. And I've seen these memes on Facebook, and you know you've seen them too. And in one frame, it's got Colin Kaepernick taking a knee during the national anthem, pigs on his socks. And in the other frame, it's got Tim Tebow taking a knee, bowing his hair in prayer after a touchdown. And it says, acceptable under the Colin Kaepernick, unacceptable under the Tim Tebow thing. So we know that when Tim Tebow made his own gesture, his own display that people were critical of, it likely impacted his career. His performance likely impacted his career, but let me bring up that Colin Kaepernick's the backup quarterback. This is not the starter, guys. Him and Tim Tebow are following roughly the same path. Came in with a lot of hype, didn't quite live up to it for one reason or the other, making very public displays that people don't like, and eventually what happens is Tebow finds himself out of a job. He's labeled, right? Too much stigma, too much drama. Too much drama. But keep in mind, 49ers are in San Francisco. You got to think, California's pretty liberal. West Coast, pretty liberal. San Francisco's pretty liberal. Do we not think for one moment that those communities might, all in all, be more supportive of what he's doing? I haven't seen any banter yet of them trading him or getting rid of him or terminating his contract. I haven't seen it. Maybe you've seen it. If you have, send us that link. Send us that link on Facebook.com/manuptalk or comments manuptalk@gmail.com. If you want to call into the show, 472-8892. 472-8892. Right now we're live on WTNB, Charter Channel 5, Digital TV, 27.1, and live on The Buzz, 101.3, The Buzz FM, right here in Cleveland. Call in. We'll get you on the air. We'll see what you have to say about Colin Kaepernick. All right, I did get a few comments via Gmail. Thank you to our wonderful friends at Gmail for the free email account. Did get a few comments concerning when we discussed, on our first show, we talked about clowns. And we talked about it in a funny light, but someone was very offended by my assault on clowns. I don't know who you are. You didn't even sign your name, and your email's it doesn't reveal your name, but they said that people being assaulted is no laughing matter, whether they're dressed up as clowns or just a mugger on the street. No laughing matter. Okay, I get it. You're offended by the way we painted clowns. But deep down inside, don't you find yourself just saying it's still a clown? It's still a clown. But I think what you missed was the bigger point that I was making. The story has been around people dressing up as clowns. And I remember this from when I was younger. When I was younger, I grew up in the era of this thing called the Insane Clown Posse. Now, some of you are like, what? It was a musical rap group. The lyrics were very controversial, very profane, and they had fans. They had fans that followed them around, groupies, and their groupies were known as juggalos. And I remember actually sitting as a member of the law enforcement committee here in Bradley County when I was on the county commission, and I was sitting in the Juvenile Justice Center, and I noticed up on the gang violence board is juggalos. The followers of this musical group, the Insane Clown Posse, were being characterized as criminal deviants. Evidently, they were engaging in assault and theft and robbery and destruction of property, vandalism, And so it was enough to where some law enforcement communities were starting to look towards the clown culture of the juggalos as a threat to society. So I flash back to the insane clown posse. I flash back to that moment in my youth where the juggalos were just rabid fans. And now here it is, 20 years, 25 years later, and they're a gang. They're a violent outfit. So I think that that's got to be the precursor to this clown thing. I think that as law enforcement put out the APB on Bozo the Clown for assaulting people, that's probably why. But what I was saying to the person who messaged me, I want you to listen to me. What I was saying, it was tongue-in-cheek. We were laughing about it because it is clowns. And I wanted to make sure that clowns weren't being racially profiled. I get it. Yeah, I was making a joke. But you missed the point I was making. Does it matter that it's a clown jumping out of the bush at 3 a.m.? If anybody's jumping out of the bush assaulting people at 3 a.m., it doesn't matter if they're dressed as a clown or if they're dressed as Bob the Builder. For those of you who don't know who Bob the Builder is, he's a child's character, cartoon. Those of you who have children are very aware of who Bob the Builder is. It doesn't matter. The point is, it's not the clown that matters. It's what the clown did. The clown is assaulting people. And I think that that's a broader message when we talk about what happens with crime. We want to characterize and profile crime a lot of times, but really the actions, what we should be addressing as society. So I just thought it was funny that the clown headline, to a certain degree, has a level of absurdity to it. And that level of absurdity is what kind of makes it funny, because it's very revealing to other things in our life. All right. We're going to take a quick break here. We've got some message from our sponsors on the show. And then when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the comments. And we're going to man up on an issue that I've been wanting to man up on. And it has to do with the upcoming presidential debate. So be back in a moment. Once again, we're on Talk 101.3 The Buzz, WTNB. Well, our ads aren't working, so we'll take a time to plug this real quick. Home and Garden Expo, October 15th, okay? This is actually going to be down at the venue Creekside, which is one of our sponsors, and WTNB's putting this on. That's down at the Village Green. There will be a Home and Garden Expo. Mr. Producer, what number can they call to find out about this? You're going to have to get in the light for me. Here we go. 464 62 464-6280 if you're interested in the Home and Garden Expo. This will be a good event. You know, it's fall planting time. And so a lot of you are looking to do things this fall, but we got to start preparing for spring. You know, preparation for spring begins in winter. So Home and Garden Expo down at the venue Creekside, they're actually going to have that October 15th. It's from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. For some reason, I can't find the ad on here, but Woodman Life. I want to say a special thank you to Woodman Life. It's one of our sponsors. If you are an licensed insurance agent, if you are in the banking industry, you're unhappy with your job, have you ever considered a career in financial services with Woodman Life? They're currently looking for financial representatives in the Southeast Tennessee area. You can contact Woodman Life. Go online, www.woodman.org, Woodmen, MEN.org. There's a careers tab. Click on that careers tab, get a little bit more information about a career with Woodman Life, working in life insurance and financial planning, retirement investment, IRA rollovers. You get a lot of flexibility with that career. And if you're interested in a career move, whether you're a licensed insurance agent, have sales experience, or maybe you're unhappy in the banking industry, call and contact Woodman. Woodman.org. Go to the careers tab. Once again, I want to thank Bliss Day Spa. Take a moment if you get a chance, guys. Let's just be honest. When mama's happy, everybody's happy. We've heard that for ages. I'm going to man up on that. That's the way it is in my house. My wife, we have 4 children in that house, all under the age of 11. Life is absolutely chaotic. Absolutely chaotic. Let me give you an idea of how chaotic. I have my oldest son who's involved in band. He's involved in football. Basketball's beginning. He's trying to do side training for that. He's trying to learn his musical instrument. Then I have a daughter who's involved in like a Girl Scouts kind of group, wants to do gymnastics and karate. I've got a younger son who's now in kindergarten, and he's starting to get involved in activities. And then my youngest daughter is 2 and is on our hip wherever we go. The least I can do is get my wife a gift certificate to Bliss Day Spa. Because when she is zen, when she is in good mode, when she is relaxed, everybody's happy. Everybody's happy when she's relaxed. You know it's the same in your house. Now, let me flip the switch here. Talk to all the ladies out there. Your husband would enjoy a back rub too. Yes, men. If you've never taken the opportunity to relax in a spa, man up and do it. I know some of you say you're too masculine for that. You're too masculine. Your tense is part of your masculinity. Don't do it. Don't do it. We've got an upcoming show where we're going to man up on the issue of stress. I'm very excited about this show. The issue of stress. There's a lot of myths about stress. So we're going to man up and we're going to talk about stress. And in this particular show about stress, we're going to kind of be on the gender side. I'm going to talk about stress in men and women. And I'm really going to hone in because I don't know, we're going to know after this episode, I think men are more dismissive of stress than women. Would you agree? Would you agree that men are more dismissive of it? That we get stressed and we try to shrug it off and not deal with it. Now, I'll say this too. I also think women are better capable of dealing with stress. So it's funny that the people who are better capable of dealing with stress tend to be more open when they are stressed. Men, quit hiding it. Once again, we're going to man up on stress in a coming episode. In the meantime, Bliss Day Spa. And again, thank you, Home Mortgage Solutions, LLC.com. I want you to call Home Mortgage Solutions, visit that website, ask for Daryl Whitaker. He's going to take care of you. Some of you out there, you're getting into the fall. Things are changing for you. Maybe it's time to sell your home. Everybody knows homes sell better in the spring and the fall than they do in the winter. Don't wait till the grass turns brown and you're going to sell your home or you're going to buy a home. Go ahead, call Daryl Whitaker, find out what you can purchase a home for. I'll tell you, it's a seller's market right now. It's a seller's market in this community. Inventory is low. I talk to my friends in the real estate business, and they tell me all the time that inventory is low. There are fewer homes since 2008 for sale. They're constantly looking for people to sell their home. Constantly looking for people to sell their home. So with it being a seller's market, meaning that you, the buyer, are probably going to pay you're probably going to pay top dollar for any house that you want. Because there's fewer out there, right? It's supply and demand. All right? The supply is low. The demand is high. Rather than waiting to buy that dream home that you've wanted, go to Daryl Whitaker at Home Mortgage Solutions and let him tell you what you qualify for. Because if you can't save money on the purchase price, at least save it on your rate. At least get your best rate on your mortgage. They can help you with lending. They can help you with refinancing. It's time to do that. Call Home Mortgage Solutions. All right, let's get back to some of the comments that we had. Once again, this week we manned up on several issues. The format of Man Up America is this. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com, Man Up Talk. Man Up Talk. We do show the YouTube uploads of the video of the episodes each week, so you can go back and watch previous episodes. But you can also send us a message there. Or you can send us a message to our Gmail account at comments, manuptalk gmail.com. You can send that to us, and we will get that. Comments, manuptalk at gmail.com. Or you can call us here in the studio, 472-8892. Haven't had any studio callers yet. I know it's a new show. It's 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Most people have opted to hit us. But, we live in a digital culture. People, they know I'm sitting right here. I'm watching the Gmail account, and they're just sending messages online. I guess it's easier. Maybe I should set up a text line. What do you think, guys? Text line? Should we do a text line? Maybe so. All right, I told you I was going to man up on an issue related to the presidential debate. I'm pulling up an article here. If you'll remember, we talked about the vice presidential debate yesterday's show. And what's important to note about the vice presidential debate, in my opinion, is that those guys seem more poised to be president than the two leading presidential candidates. I was particularly impressed with Mike Pence. Very impressed with Mike Pence. But I'm coming up to another presidential debate. I've been very open about my opinion that the last one was a fiasco. Absolute fiasco. I didn't even know how to process it. Didn't feel anything was said. So I want to man up on this. What else are we looking for before they have this election in November? Are there really undecided voters out there? Do you know of any undecided voters? Can you call and let us know if you know of any undecided voters? I don't know of any undecided voters. Do you know of any undecided voters? We talked a little bit about Gary Johnson the episode before last, and we're going to man up and actually investigate this. But I've been told that a vote for Gary Johnson is a vote for Hillary Clinton, and it doesn't look like it. We've got some numbers saying that Gary Johnson's eating into Hillary's lead, that Gary Johnson's not a traditional libertarian, that he is actually getting the Bernie vote. He's getting the Bernie vote. So how many people are really undecided at this point? Is Donald Trump, for all the Trumpers out there, is Donald Trump going to earn more votes between now and November? How many people do you know that are just still undecided? How many people? I'd like to know. I don't know of any. Everybody I know has already made up their mind. Everybody I know made up their mind after the conventions. The people that are never Trumpers are just that. They're never Trump. They're not going to vote for Donald Trump. Nothing I say, nothing you say is going to change that. The people who are Hillary Clinton are vehemently Hillary Clinton. So who's still left undecided? And so why do we watch this next debate? What are we looking to get from this next debate? I'll tell you what you're looking to get. You're not looking to get information. You're not looking to say if they actually man up on policy positions. Donald Trump's espoused fewer policy positions than any candidate from the GOP in history. Hillary Clinton has uttered more rhetoric than anyone else that I've ever seen. We're not going to get any more information from this debate. You're tuning in for the carnage. You're tuning in for the circus. Because it is a circus. You are tuning in to listen to Donald say something outlandish. And the more supportive you are of Donald, the more you hoop and holler when he does say something outlandish. You're looking for him to point at Hillary Clinton and call her a liar, a thief, a murderer, corrupt, crooked Hillary Clinton. You're looking to see how many times he can say crooked Hillary Clinton. Just be honest. Man up about it. It's exactly why you're tuning into the debate. For all you Hillary people, you are tuning in to laugh at anything that Donald says. You are tuning in just to say one more time how ridiculous you think it is that he's even on the stage. We get it. We get it. We get that Hillary Clinton has spent her whole life in government and how prepared she is for the presidency and this, that, and that. You tell us time and time again, all you Hillary supporters, you tell us all the time how great she is, how prepared she is, but you never quite explain to us the corruption charges. You just tell us it's not important. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can't say it's not important that she deleted emails. You can't say it's not important she jeopardized national security. You can't say it's not important that she botched Benghazi. You can't say that. Just like the Trump people. You can't say Donald's going to be the next Ronald Reagan. You can't say he's the most conservative guy. He's not. He's not. So why do you tune in to the debate? You tune in for the circus, to watch the carnage. This presidential race has been like a NASCAR race. They have been making the laps for months now, and they're in the final leg, and people are getting desperate, reckless, and you're waiting for the crash. How many of you, honestly? I'm not a huge NASCAR guy, so I'm probably guilty of this. How many of you out there listening and watching on 101.3 The Buzz and WTNB, how many of you actually watch a full NASCAR race? Or how many of you just tune in for the last few laps? And how many of you, when you're watching those last few laps, are more likely to tune in when you heard there's a big crash? The smoke, the fire. That's where we are in this presidential debate. We're in the final few laps, and you're waiting for the accident. You're waiting for those last-minute moves that may or may not result in a car accident. That's why you're tuning into the debate. Let's be honest about that. No one is tuning in for more information. Is there something lurking out there that we haven't heard yet? Let's man up about this. Okay, so earlier this week, on that same thread, Mr. Assange of WikiLeaks says he's going to release some data. And all of the pro-Trump people said, oh, he's going to show exactly that Hillary did A, B, C, and D. He's going to spill the beans on her. He didn't. He released some stuff, but he didn't. He didn't. But we were waiting for some new declaration that we think is going to throw Trump over the top, right? Hillary Clinton, y'all are waiting for one person to step up and say they were sexually assaulted by Hillary Clinton. You know you are. You're waiting for that because you feel like, all right, there are people out there who haven't made up their mind who are going to come over and vote for Hillary because of this. No, I'm telling you, you're not. The people who support Donald Trump are not coming to you. They're not. They're just not coming. I'm looking here right now. I've got an article, and it says 30 former GOP lawmakers signed an open letter against Donald Trump. An open letter. Senator Gordon Humphrey from New Hampshire. New Hampshire's a swing state, guys. He's a former senator from a swing state in New Hampshire, Republican senator. Minnesota's up for grabs, too. He's a swing state. Former Representative Van Weber of Minnesota signed this letter. They're opposing Donald Trump. Do we think one more debate gets those guys to say, I recant my letter? Representative Bill Klinger of Pennsylvania, again, a swing state. A swing state. All right, William Whitehurst, a Republican out of Virginia, a swing state delegate. And then a close ally of Speaker Paul Ryan in Wisconsin. Once again, swing state. A former ally of John Boehner in Ohio. I mean, there are people real close to, this. Do we honestly think one more debate that that these people are going to recant their letter? They're not going to do it. Not going to do it. Now, I'm going to watch the debate. Why? Because you need me to watch the debate to come back in here and laugh about what takes place in that debate. You need me to come back in here and talk about if anything serious bubbled up in that debate. But we're watching for the train wreck. It is essentially a NASCAR show. I'm going to hit our last comments that had been sent into the show, which were about the video that we played the first night, where they interviewed several people at Texas Tech University. These are millennials. We've talked about the millennial vote. See it on the media all the time. Who's going to get the millennial vote? And the folks they interviewed could tell us everything about reality TV and about Brad Pitt's love life, but could not give give us the history of our own country. Couldn't tell us who we gained our independence from. Couldn't tell you who won the Civil War. They couldn't do any of those things. But they could tell you who Snooki was. You know, they could tell you, well, Brad Pitt used to be married to Jennifer Aniston. They could tell you all of that. You know? They could tell you those things. Well, what about the Donald? The Donald's Mr. Reality TV. I don't know, maybe he's getting those folks. Who knows? But I got some comments on that video. Looks like the way they're worded, these comments, they look like they're from millennials who say they're very offended. Very offended. Not everybody is that dumb, was one of them said. Those interviews do not represent my generation. My generation is the most benevolent, kind, and socially involved as any generation in history. Okay, support that claim. I tell you what, next week we're doing a show. We're manning up on millennials. Millennials are a big part of the voting cycle coming up. Millennials are a big part of big business. The iPhone 7, it's making its way out. Millennials are a big part of that business launch. Millennials are a big reason we've seen Starbucks, people like, businesses like Starbucks boom. Millennials are a big reason we're seeing cultural changes in employment and jobs. So we're going to man up on millennials next week. We're going to talk about you millennials. Listen to the show as we talk about you, those of you born after 1982. We're going to talk about you. We're going to see if everything people say about millennials is true. But we've always been told millennials are the most entrepreneurial generation. Are they? Are they the most entrepreneurial generation? We've been told that millennials always vote liberal. Are they? Are millennials liberal? We've been told that millennials are increasingly supportive of gay marriage. Are they? That they're more and more pro-life. Are they? We're going to talk about that next week as we man up on millennials. So, here's what's coming up. The debate's coming up. Got a second debate with the presidential campaign. We're going to keep some eyes on Hurricane Matthew in Florida. Many of us have family down there, and anytime a Category 4 hurricane hits land, we get concerned, not just because of what we saw in years past with storms like Katrina and Andrew, but, it disrupts the economy. It's not just the loss of life. It's a disruptive thing. So we're going to watch Hurricane Matthew and see what it does down there. There's some myths related to hurricanes. Maybe we can man up on hurricanes in a future episode. I don't know. Man up on hurricanes, maybe. 472-8892 if you want to call in. We got a few more minutes before we're off the air. I had the opportunity on Tuesday when we launched our first show. We had J-Rob in the studio as our humble correspondent. And then, yesterday, the shrink, Rob Alderman. I dropped my phone here. Phone's pretty important. We had both of those on, and they did a phenomenal job providing commentary back and forth. But one thing I noticed from both Rob and from J-Rob are there are areas that we're versed in. Each one of us have an area of expertise. In the future, I'm actually going to pull out some of my research. I've actually been published in matters of educational reform, and we're going to man up on education reform on one of these episodes. And I'll get a chance to kind of feel like I fit in my rut. And Rob is a marketing and media expert. Got 5 minutes left in the show. Great. Marketing and media expert. We're going to have him man up on some of those things. J-Rob's actually a nurse, so she's kind of our medical mind with some of these things. We want you to email us at commentsmanuptalk@gmail.com. Tell us what you want us to man up on. Tell us what you want to see. Tell us what you want us to discuss, and we're going to bring those guests in. We've got an excellent lineup of guests coming forward. We've got a commitment by Steve Watson, former host of Monster House on TLC. We're going to get him here in the studio, or at least get him on the phone. Pastor Leonce Crump, who is a former lineman of the New Orleans Saints, an Oklahoma Sooner, was a lineman there, former UTC wrestling coach, and now pastors in Atlanta, and has been very open and verbal concerning the Black Lives Matters movement. And so we're going to have him for an interview coming up this month. So great interview there. We've got some other local politicians, some local representatives coming in. I'm very excited about the shows next week where we man up on millennials. I'm very excited about the Black Lives Matter show. And we'll have a sports show coming up too. And I know that we're all about the Vols. I brought my I went to the Republican National Convention this year, and so I brought my coonskin cap. My coonskin Tennessee cap right here. It's got the Tennessee logo, and it's my coonskin cap. So for those of y'all who can see that, in fact, I'll put it on for the last little bit here. When I put it on, I just want to sing Rocky Top. When I put the coonskin cap on, I want to sing Rocky Top. But not everything we talk about is going to be related to the Vols. But we played a little snippet of an interview we had with Major League pitcher Darren Holmes, who's now the bullpen coach for the Colorado Rockies, former pitcher of the Braves, won a World Series with the Yankees. We played a little clip of how he felt about the Colin Kaepernick thing, but we're going to go back and talk to him a little bit about what's happening with the playoffs, because Major League Baseball's playoffs just began. He actually thinks the World Series is going to be between the Cubs and the Red Sox. Man, wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be great? He talks a little bit about the history of Turner Field and the move for the Atlanta Braves, and so we'll have that interview with him next week. I'll take the last few minutes on the show to say thank you for all of the online comments. It looks like most of you, that's how you prefer to comment. You like to send us stuff online. I'm fine with that. I like to read your stuff in advance, see exactly what you're saying. And I got an email, Andy from Google. Welcome to your Google account. I hadn't checked this one. This is from when we set up the email for the show. Well, thank you, Andy from Google. Reminder, Home and Garden Expo, October 15th down at the venue Creekside, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. I gave that number out earlier. So if you need that number, I'm sure when we put this show back up at facebook.com/manuptalk, you can scroll and find where that number is. Final rant for the day is this. You know, this was our kickoff week, and I'm privileged to have this show. And I know it's from the 1 to 2 o'clock hour, but we've got the rebroadcasts. We've got the shows up on YouTube and on the Man Up site. We hope that you'll tune in and you'll pay attention. Hope that you'll patronize the sponsors. But I said in our first show, and I want to repeat it again, we face these issues and we man up on topics because we want you to be informed. We want you to know the truth. The truth. You know, when I said that about Gary Johnson, I've always been told a vote for Gary Johnson, the independent candidate for president, was a vote for Hillary Clinton. And we find out that that's not the case. And I said that. There's some people who are very angry, but listen, guys, it's the facts. It's the numbers. I'm not here to spin for you. I'm here to tell you how it is. If you won't spin, tune into those other talk show hosts. Tune into the nationally syndicated guys that wake up every morning and have Republican tattoos all over their body. Tune into the liberal guys like Chris Matthews who only see the world through Democrat blue. Tune into those guys if you want to hear what you want to hear. But if you want to hear what's happening, you want to hear the truth, join us as we man up on major issues here at Talk 101.3 The Buzz, WTNB. Don't forget the Home and Garden Show. Patronize Bliss Day Spa, Home Mortgage Solutions, Woodman Life. Special thank you to Woodman Life. If you need family life insurance, please call Woodman Life. If you need to roll a retirement, call Woodman Life. Okay? Call Woodman Life. Yeah, appreciate your time on the show today, guys, for our first show. That's the first call-in show. We'll be back Tuesday of next week in the 1 to 2 o'clock hour on 101.3 The Buzz, WTNB. That's digital TV station 27.1, Charter Channel 5, and Comcast Channel something. I can't even remember. 210. Comcast Channel 210. We appreciate your time on the show, guys. Man up, America. Make it happen. Get out today. Enjoy your weekend. Pray for those in Florida facing the hurricane. Peace out.